Colleen Lyle of Trinity Stone Realty. Colleen, we've had great conversations with you in the past. We're going to continue the conversation now, starting off with, and first of all, welcome to the program and good morning to you.
Good morning, Rosie. Always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure
to see you and the team.
Thank you. I was just going to get right into it, Colleen, without even saying good morning because there's so many questions. I was like, okay, Colleen, there's so much emotion surrounding purchasing a home. I just want to first off talk about that. And how do you deal with your clients who are, they're looking for their home, a place where they can lay their head and live for a number of years with their family? How do you mitigate that emotion and sort of bring them back to like the more focused point and a more logical point where you're looking at what it is that you're doing, which is purchasing a home and making a very big investment?
It absolutely is an emotional thing, and it's a great question that a lot of people, because, when you're buying a home, there very much is an emotional component of it, and yet I, myself and my team and my agents, we really want to, even though we want you to absorb that emotion, we do want to create a plan, right? And right now we are not seeing any kind of slowdown on the market, despite what is happening right now in regards to the new budget plans, the new ways that they are trying to slow down the market. The Ottawa market has always remained strong and continues to. So in this particular case, when we are talking about buying a home, we literally have a sit-down meeting, and any good agent absolutely would as well, where we have a sit-down meeting and figure out the plan for you, figure out, what do you want out of a home? What are your wants versus your needs? Because that's a very different conversation. There is an absolute want. You might have to have 4 bedrooms because you have 5 children. You might need a finished basement because mom might be visiting, 6 months out of the year, and you want a great apartment down there. There may be different things. Or versus, yet what do you absolutely need? I need a big yard because I have 5 dogs, right? It could be something as simple as that. So we have to, I really want a white kitchen, yet, I've got a 4-bedroom with a big yard. And so we might have to mitigate the whole white kitchen kind of concept. The biggest thing that I say, Rosie, is when we're talking to our clients is let's be respectful of your budget, let's be respectful of your time, and let's really create an opportunity for you where you will be in this home at minimum, even if it's a starter home, at minimum 5 years, because we don't want you to just have buyer regret. You bought a home. It's not about the sale, right? If you buy a home and you regret it, that is not me doing my job. So the fact is that let's see what your life looks like from now to 5 years, and create a plan for you, customize a plan for you, so that it's not just a knee-jerk conversation and or decision.
Yeah, it's great when you, like you said, you sit down and you talk about a plan. I want to ask you this, Colleen. The Bank of Canada today is going to announce what all anticipate will be an interest rate hike, probably 0.5%. Do you think that this is going to cool down the real estate market?
I don't think it will. I think what they're trying to do, and what we have been planning on for a number of years, is the fact that we've had such record low interest rates for so long, and yet when you are getting a pre-approval, they have been preparing for exactly what we suspected is happening this year. We have been approving people at a higher level anyway. So that if anything may affect people's decision to buy now. The biggest issue that we're having in Ottawa market is nothing more, when you had the government saying, no foreign investors, etc., that doesn't affect the Ottawa market. That is more of a Vancouver, Toronto issue. And so the biggest issue that we have right now in Ottawa is the fact that, we have a great city. I love Ottawa. I know it sounds kind of like, a fairy tale kind of conversation or me just pulling a script, yet it really is. Ottawa flies under the radar for so many people. I mean, most of our foreign friends don't even know that Ottawa exists, and yet we have an incredible, wonderful, colorful town here in Ottawa. And so the biggest issue with Ottawa is simply the fact that we don't have inventory. We're having people move here from Vancouver, from Toronto, from Montreal, and they're just moving around. And people love Ottawa, and for good reason, yet we just don't have the inventory. And so when I'm talking to potential sellers and they're like, well, I may wait till the spring market. We're in the spring market. Well, I may wait till the market cools down. Why? The only reason why the Ottawa market is doing what it's doing is the fact that there is absolutely no inventory. So it'll be interesting to see, Rosie. There's a lot of conversation now that we're into the holiday Easter weekend and headed into that. There is a lot of conversation I'm going to do after. I'm going to bring my house on the market after. So the only thing that this interest rate will do is a correction of what everyone has been planning. The fact is that the pre-approval already took into account of this interest rate. So,
Colleen, let's talk about that. I mean, you've got the looming interest rate, lending rate hike. I'm wondering, what are some of the first things that you need to do when you're looking to buy a home? Is it consider the interest rates or to consider the impending interest rate hike, get yourself ready, look at your finances? What do you do first?
yeah, absolutely. If you're planning, if you're especially if you're a first-time home buyer, I always say look at your finances, look at what is, because I do feel for those new home buyers or those buyers who are trying to get into the market for the first time as maybe new Canadians. So the biggest thing that we need to look at is their financing and have them talk to a mortgage broker. I joke, but I got to put my mom hat on here. People are like, well, I'm talking to the bank. And banks are great. And if you have a really good bank financial person that is willing to help you, wonderful. The difference about a mortgage broker with the bank, and this is where I pull my mom hat on a little bit, is the fact that, for example, when I go shopping at a particular store, let's say Loblaws, I know that I can find my no-name brand or my PC brand, and that's what I do when I go to Loblaws. If I were to go to Metro, I'm not looking for, no-name brand or PC. They have my compliments or whatever. So they have their own brand. So that's what banks do. Okay. They shop their own brand. They work in their silos. Mm-hmm. And that may work really well. Yet a mortgage broker can go to Loblaws, can go to Metro, can go to Sobeys, can go to Freshco. They can do all of it for you and find the best product. So when you are looking at potentially getting into the market or upgrading in the market, the biggest thing that I suggest to people is plan. When you have a good realtor, you are never wasting our time. I'm talking to people now that I know that are not going to sell with me until October or November, and that's their comfort level, and that's fine. Yet we have created a plan. We've created a staging plan. We've created a financing plan. We've created something for them that works for them, and that's the biggest thing. The last component that a lot of people don't realize is when you are looking to buy such a significant investment, and when you have a mortgage approval, please do not go out and buy a whole bunch of furniture. Do not go buy a car. Do not go buy an ATV. Just freeze. Please just freeze. Don't do that. Please don't do that. because then that will affect, if not mitigate, and completely cancel out your pre-approval.
You got some questions, you're looking to attain a realtor, give them a call, 613-417-3599, and there's the website, trinitystonerealty.com. We're going to continue our conversation with broker of record, owner of Trinity Stone Realty, Colleen Lyle. Colleen, we have a question for you, so we figure we'll start with that. Paul writes, our home will be going up in June. We've spoken to an agent but not signed any agreements. How obligated are we to the agent if a buyer approaches us before June? Colleen.
That's a great question, and it's an interesting one. And Paul, thank you for reaching out. There are several discussions to be had here. First and foremost, if you haven't signed anything, then there isn't an obligation yet. Paul, I ask you, have they gone ahead and organized cleaning for you, staging for you? Have they gone and done photos or arranged, potential contracts to help you finish those projects that you weren't, didn't get a job done? Because at that point, I would say they are acting on your behalf already. Now, having said that, and this is something I get all the time, and respectfully, Paul, I'm going to shake my head a little bit, because even if a buyer approaches you for your home before it goes on the market, I would strongly advise you not to do that, because you probably are going to lose money. You're probably leaving money on the table rather than going on the market. As I have mentioned many, many times, both with you, Rosie, and Annette, and your whole team, is the fact that the best thing that you can do if you are selling a home is to go on the market. For example, one home that I sold last week, it showed very well. We put it on the market, and it sold for almost $600,000 over asking. So if a buyer comes to you privately, the fact is that they're looking probably for a deal, and that the market may adjust in your favor, Paul, so that even though you think that you may be getting a deal by maybe saving commission or whatever, I suspect that you're probably leaving money on the table. So I would strongly advise against it. Yet that is your call, because maybe you have 4 kids and 10 dogs, and showing your home will just be very difficult. So it's just something that needs to be a conversation.
Thank you for that question, Paul, and thank you, Colleen, for that answer. Colleen, we're going to continue our conversation. You spoke of planning to sell your home in the future. You had a few clients who were looking at selling their house in the fall. Question to you is, how far in advance of putting your home on the market should you prepare your home for that sale?
And that's a question that we often get, and thank you for that. The matter of the fact is that it depends on each individual. There are homes that I have aforementioned. We got $600,000, and she showed her home so well that there was very little to be done. Yet, when you engage in a realtor, you have to understand that if you have a good realtor, we are as patient as ever. There is one person I know I'm not selling until next year, and they've committed to me, and we are good to go. We're going to create a plan, and we're to connect in February of next year, and we constantly talk to each other, and we want to make sure that she's doing the right renovation. It is never too early to connect with a realtor, as long as the realtor has a plan for you in advance, because you never want to be overwhelmed when it comes to, now I have to sell. So my question always is, where are you going to go? Well, I was thinking of downsizing. Okay, if you're thinking of downsizing, then maybe we need to talk now, make sure that all the honey to-do list in the house is done, because once we start looking at homes, etc., it may take a while. As we mentioned, inventory is still historically low. right now. So it may take a while for you to buy. As soon as you buy, though, then we get the house on the market. Common question, do I buy first or sell first? Right now, I tell everyone buy. Just buy. Unless you have a backup plan where you really need to know what your house is going to go on the market and you have a cottage that you can go to or in-laws or friends, whatever, you have a backup plan. I always tell everyone to buy first unless you have that backup plan. And so engage in a realtor, talk to the local expert, give my team a call because we can create a plan for you. It's like, okay, I'm retiring in June. Okay, great. Where are we going to go? Right? There's a lot of questions that have to be planned out. And as I mentioned earlier, just don't go out and buy a whole bunch of furniture or a car because that will affect your financing. If you need to hold on to a mortgage or get a mortgage wherever you're moving to. So just talk to a realtor, create a plan so that you know what ABC is and at the end of the road, XYZ. Right?
Yeah. Colleen, this conversation about real estate with you could go on and on. We so appreciate you coming on. Colleen Lyle, broker of record and owner of Trinity Stone Realty. Always a pleasure speaking with you, Colleen. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rosie. Always a pleasure.